Hi, I'm Erica. My husband Mark and I and our 2 kids live fully off-grid in Canada. Today we're going to take you along for some normal daily activities as well as some projects we've been working on.
2 weeks ago, we posted a video showing the flood that we had from the warm February weather that we're having. Well, now it's gotten cold again, and we got this beautiful 5-6 inches of fluffy snow. That gave me a great opportunity to fire up the new tractor and put it to work. I forgot to plug this tractor in, so it took a little while to get it started. I had to hook it up to the truck and boost the battery, but once I got it going, it's just a matter of throwing the bucket on and having fun. I really value being independent, and having a way to plow my own driveway and not rely on the county is really nice. I bought this tractor for all the things that I could do with it. What I was not expecting was just how much fun I would have operating. In time, the novelty may wear off, but for now, no matter what kind of day I'm having or what mood I may be in, when I hop on that tractor, things just get better. One of the reasons Erica and I choose to live this lifestyle is for our children. We want them to see us being productive and industrious, and we want them to be productive and industrious. Living on an off-grid homestead provides us ample opportunity to show them the value of hard work and the value of the daily tasks that make life worth living. It's surprising how young you can start teaching your children and giving them jobs and responsibilities on the homestead.
One reason that we moved out here is because we really want to live as healthy a lifestyle as possible. And part of that is raising our own food. And we want our kids to experience that whole process and to really know where their food comes from and what makes good quality homegrown food. And it's not only that we want them to learn these skills and the work ethic that goes along with taking care of animals, but we also want to make it as easy for ourselves as possible to feed them high quality food, because their growing bodies need as much nourishment as they can get.
Bit of eggs there. There. Hold on to that one too.
Because feeding my kids well is a high priority, and not just them, me too, and my husband. We need to be healthy too. There are a few things that I make constantly that I want to have around all the time because they're such a staple for us. One of those that I'm making on this day is homemade sauerkraut. Sauerkraut is basically fermented cabbage. It's very simple, very easy to make, and it is full of probiotics. That is one of the reasons I love to have it, because we all need probiotics. First, I remove the wilted, icky looking cabbage leaves on the outside and any spots that aren't looking so good. And then I cut the cabbage in half, and then in half the other way, and cut out the core. Then I will cut those pieces into smaller strips that I can fit into my food processor. Oh, and I also reserved a couple of the nice outer leaves for later on in this process. Now, I don't recommend using your fingers to push down the cabbage. There was definitely a point here you'll see where I put mine pretty darn far in there, and that was a mistake. Luckily, I didn't hurt myself, but I really could have, so now I'm more aware and will be much more careful in the future. When I first tried making sauerkraut, I tried a couple of times just the very basic way, which is just mixing shredded cabbage with salt, and I was never really impressed with the end result. Finally, I came across a recipe that included shredded apple and caraway seeds. And since then, that has been our absolute favorite. We all love it, and just that simple addition makes it so much tastier. I'll leave the exact measurements, the recipe that I use in the description box below. Usually I double or triple it because I want to make quite a lot at once. We do go through it relatively quickly, but it also stores in the fridge for months. So it's nice to keep a good stock of it. Once I have my shredded cabbage and my shredded apples in my bowl, I add the salt and the caraway seeds, and then just for a couple minutes mix and massage it all together with my hands. This will allow the salt to spread all over, and the cabbage will start to release its own juices, and it will create its own brine, and that's what it's going to sit in while it ferments on the counter. Sauerkraut is a really great accompaniment to a lot of different meat dishes. We love to eat it with steak and, of course, sausage like smokies. And it's also just a really nice thing to have on hand to use as a quick, already done, really healthy vegetable side dish. Once it's well mixed, I start to stuff it into my jars. So 1 head of cabbage will make about 1 quart jar of sauerkraut, and you want to pack it into your jar as tightly as you can. The goal is to get all of the cabbage fully submerged under the brine. So I take one of my reserved cabbage leaves and try to cover all those little pieces of shredded cabbage with it, and then I put a fermenting weight on, and that is how I leave it. Usually there's a couple little pieces of cabbage floating on the top. I don't worry about that, and I haven't had an issue. I will now let these jars sit at room temperature on my counter for 5 to 7 days. I always put them inside of a container or on a plate or something, because liquid will actually leak out of them as they ferment, and so you want something underneath them to catch it. I loosely place a lid on, and then I'll taste test at 5 days, and if it's done, tighten the lid and put it in the fridge.
The project that I'm working on today is I am running a pipe from the front of my shop to the back of the shop where the diesel tank is for our generator. Currently, I have to carry all of the fuel from the front of the shop to the fuel tank in a 20-liter jerry can. And that takes a fair bit of time when there's 200 or 300 liters of fuel that needs to be carried. So my solution to that problem is I'll have a pipe that runs from the front to the back, and I'll just pump the fuel from my slip tank straight into the pipe, which will then pour directly into the slip tank. Okay, as you've already seen, my PVC pipe is very dirty. I hauled it here on a trailer, and it was very, very muddy that day. So I have to clean them if I'm gonna use them. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna tie some paracord around here with a long string, and I'll pull that through the pipe to get the loose stuff out. Then I'll dump warm water down and I'll run it through a bunch more till it's clean. And hopefully that's good enough. Let's see if that works. Got a little smarter this time. So that is looking better, but there's definitely still some dirt in there. So pour a little water down there and wipe it out, and hopefully that'll be good to go. Now that, can't really tell, but it looks pretty clean. Once the pipes were clean, I took them down into the basement where it's warm and dry so they could drain and dry out the rest of the way. While I was waiting for that to happen, I got started on prepping the mounting brackets. Prior to going to the store to pick up material for this project, I forgot to measure out how many brackets I would need. So I just took a guess and picked up 8, and that worked out perfectly. From corner to corner, the brackets are spaced every 4 feet, which is nice because they line up with the seams of the plywood, so I didn't have to spend time marking all of the bracket points. Here I'm just checking to make sure I hit studs on each one of the brackets, and it all looks good. So I decided to take off this extra bit of exhaust pipe that I threw on there. I really just did it because I had the pipe, not because I thought it would do much. I had hoped it would make the generator a little quieter, but that didn't really happen. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the old rusty exhaust pipe with this new bit that I'm taking off the wall. You can see there on the steel all the soot from the exhaust. That's because the old pipe had been rattling against that steel plate for so long that it had worn a hole. So I'm adding a little bit more strapping on the inside and on the out to hold the new exhaust pipe right-centered so that it won't rub and create the same problem in the future. During the winter months, when there's very little solar, this generator is our primary source of electricity. I did do a video on this generator earlier in the year. I'll link that here. And there will be some more videos coming up in the near future. There is a lot of work that still needs to be done on this generator. Once summer hits and the generator isn't running every day, I will finally get to do some much needed maintenance.
Thanks so much for watching this video. We make a new video every week about our off-grid life, so I'd love if you'd subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.